Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into a collection of sources you've shared with us, all focused on a specific basketball training program. It's called the Layup Maker, from play practice basketball up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
That's right. And we've got quite a bit here, descriptions of the program, some parent testimonials, details on their system, who it's aimed at, really the whole picture from their perspective.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to unpack just this material you sent. We want to understand, what problem are they trying to solve for young players? What's their unique approach?
And what can we glean from those parent experiences, right? We're sticking strictly to these sources.
Exactly. Think of it as us helping you sort through this information, pulling out the key ideas. Okay, let's dive in and see what these sources tell us about the Layup Maker.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Well, the sources jump right into the core issue, the problem they see facing young players. What's the main thing they highlight?
It really boils down to this idea of feeling, out of control on the court. Specifically, players who can get to the basket, they have that skill, but then they struggle to actually finish the play.
So they do the hard part, breaking down the defense, but that final step, the layup itself, isn't consistent.
Exactly. And the sources, they detail the consequences. Like, teammates might stop passing them the ball near the rim.
Because they don't trust them to score.
Seems like it. Or coaches might limit their chances, trying to avoid, missed shots or turnovers right under the basket.
And the sources also mention players often only having one way to finish, right? Like one go-to move.
Yeah, which makes them predictable. So under pressure, maybe against a bigger defender, that one move gets shut down, leads to deflections, blocks, or just awkward missed shots. Poor body control, maybe.
That sounds incredibly frustrating for a young player. The sources even describe specific things you might see on court because of this.
They do. Things like players passing up what looks like an easy scoring chance right at the hoop.
Passing it out instead of taking the layup.
Right. Or maybe driving recklessly, just throwing their body in there, hoping for a foul, hands up in frustration, that kind of thing.
Which all connects back to that feeling of helplessness, doesn't it? Like they can't control playing time or touches or getting calls.
Exactly. Those are external factors, but the sources argue there are things they can control, skills they just haven't learned yet.
Okay, what are those controllable skills they point to?
They list specific things: footwork near the rim, having multiple finishing options, grip strength and control on the ball, and staying balanced dynamically even in the air.
So fundamental techniques for finishing.
Yes. And the sources emphasize the emotional side too, feeling helpless, doubting if they can actually score. The bottom line they present is pretty stark. Your player has no control. That's the problem.
Right. So given that problem, this lack of control and finishing ability, how is the Layup Maker program presented as the answer?
Well, it's positioned very directly as the solution. The promise, stated right in the material, is to help players finish with any hand, any foot, any time.
Any hand, any foot, any time. That directly addresses that one move issue.
It seems designed to. The core goal they describe is developing, get this, Jedi Master level control over both technique and decision-making at the rim.
Jedi Master level control. Okay, that paints a picture. High skill, composure.
Definitely implies that. And they contrast this approach with others. The sources mention programs that might, shame kids for missing easy twos or just drill one type of finish over and over.
Whereas the Layup Maker aims for broader confidence and versatility.
That's the idea presented. Building confidence using any hand, any foot, adapting to the situation. It's about having a whole toolkit for finishing, not just one tool.
Okay, so a comprehensive approach. How do they actually do that? The sources talk about a specific structure, the PRQ system.
Yes, PERQ. It's described as the program's framework, sort of the weekly rhythm for learning.
All right, let's break that down. P is for?
P is prime. This involves watching a preview video, maybe 15 minutes long. It's meant to prime the brain, get the player thinking about the concepts for the week.
Okay, mental prep, got it. What about E?
E is for espresso versus gallon. That's the actual workout session, 30 minutes for one-on-one, 60 for a group. The espresso idea is that it's concentrated, impactful instruction, not, watered down over a long time.
A potent dose of coaching. Makes sense.
Then R.
R is record. They record the workout, mentioning using tech like home court. This recording isn't just proof, it's a tool for the player to review and guide their home practice.
So the learning extends beyond the session itself. Smart. And Q.
Q is for quiz. This is about recall and understanding. Can the player remember what they did, why they did it that way, and what the technique is called? It solidifies things.
Prime, espresso workout, record, quiz. PERQ. That's a clear structure. Does it give an example of a typical week?
It does lay out a potential schedule, like Sunday or Monday, watch the Prime video, Tuesday's the training session, Wednesday, review that recording.
Thursday, practice at home, maybe using the video. Friday is the quiz. And Saturday, more home practice, maybe referencing the recording again.
So it's really integrated throughout the week, not just a one-off training session.
That seems to be the goal, yeah. Constant reinforcement.
So who is this program actually for? The sources mention a specific target audience.
They're quite clear on that. It's primarily aimed at players in 5th through 9th grade.
Middle school into the start of high school.
Okay. And they should ideally have played for at least 2 years. So not complete beginners, but players with some base experience.
Got it. What else characterizes the ideal player, according to these materials?
Well, here's an interesting point they make. It's for players ready to zoom in on improving their defensive skills.
Defensive skills.
Yeah.
For a layup program, how does that connect?
It seems counterintuitive, but the sources suggest understanding how defenders try to stop you is key to learning how to finish against them effectively. It informs your offensive approach.
Huh. That's a really neat angle, looking at it from the other side.
Yeah. And then, more obviously, it's for players who are, struggling to finish near the basket or maybe feel nervous driving against bigger players.
That makes direct sense.
They also use this specific phrase, green SATS to blue SAKS transition program. The sources don't explicitly define green or blue SCKS, but it implies it's a step up, a program for progressing to a new level of skill.
Okay, so 5th, 9th graders, 2+ years experience, struggling finishers, ready to think defensively, and maybe ready for this blue SEKS level, whatever that entails.
That seems to be the profile they're describing.
Now, programs like this often face questions, maybe about cost or duration. Do the sources address potential objections?
They do, quite directly. For instance, the question, why only 4 weeks?
Right, that seems short for mastering something complex.
Their answer is that it's their tested method for mastering a specific skill set by focusing intensely. They call it a hybrid approach and mention using interleaving overlapping skills from different contexts to deepen the learning quickly.
So intensity and focus over longer duration. What about the cost? They acknowledge it might seem expensive?
Yeah, they tackle that head on. They justify it based on results and efficiency. First, there's a guarantee, which we can talk more about, promising specific game performance results.
A results guarantee.
And they say they're selling effectiveness, not just time. The quote is something like, what you get is up to you, how we deliver it, and how long it takes is up to us.
Value based on outcome, not hours logged.
Exactly. They also point to 20 years of refining their instruction for this age group, 5th, 9th grade, claiming they've perfected the progressions to avoid wasted time.
20 years just on that age group is quite specialized.
It is. And they position themselves as a simplifier, someone who can take complex pro-level skills and make them understandable and achievable for these younger players quickly. So the cost reflects the guarantee, the deep experience, the age specialization, and this ability to simplify.
Okay, that covers time and cost. What about comparing it to, say, a regular skills and drills night? Is this just more the same?
The sources say absolutely not. They explicitly contrast it.
How so? What's the difference they point out?
They criticize typical skills nights as sometimes being just a token add-on, often with huge groups like 20-plus kids, where skills are taught in isolation, just drills, no real game context or decision-making.
Right, just running through cones, maybe?
Kind of. The layup maker difference, according to the sources, includes keeping groups small, max 8 players. They use competitive discovery of problems, meaning players figure out why they need a skill by playing first.
So the need comes first.
Then the skill is taught as the solution to that problem, and crucially, they immediately apply it back in competitive situations against defense. Plus, they emphasize specific individual feedback for every player, even in the group.
Max 8, discover the need, learn the solution, apply immediately, individual feedback. This does sound structurally different.
It's presented as much more integrated, yeah.
They offer both group and one-on-one. What do the sources say about the benefits of each?
One-on-one is described like specialized tutoring. Great for beginners, maybe players feeling behind, or someone totally new to a skill. You get tons of reps, maybe 150-plus way, and the coach's full attention.
High repetition focused coaching. Classic one-on-one.
Right. But the sources seem to really push the group format for making skills translate better to games. They use that play, practice, play model.
Play to find the problem, practice the solution, play again to test it.
Exactly. You immediately see if the skill works against live defense, and they claim players still get that individual feedback even in the group setting.
And what if life happens and a player has to miss a session?
The sources mention that if you know beforehand, right at the start of the program, that you'll miss a specific session, they can arrange a makeup, usually in a one-on-one format.
Good to know. So that covers the structure and philosophy. You mentioned a guarantee earlier. That sounds significant.
It is. The sources state it very clearly. If by the end of the 4 weeks, your player cannot make 15 different finishes from 5 different angles around the basket, you get your money back.
Wow. 15 distinct finishes, 5 specific angles. That is incredibly specific and measurable. A money-back guarantee on that level shows a lot of confidence in their system.
It certainly does. It ties directly back to their justification for the costs they're guaranteeing a very concrete outcome.
Beyond the program details, the sources also included testimonials from parents. What kind of themes emerged from those?
Yeah, those offer a valuable perspective. A big one was seeing development not just in skills, but also in the player's love for the game. That came up repeatedly.
That's huge, getting better and enjoying it more.
Absolutely. And the coach, B.J. Mumford, gets a lot of praise. Parents call him fantastic, mention his supportive way, making kids feel comfortable, but also eager to learn more.
So a positive coaching environment seems key.
Definitely highlighted. The training itself is described using words like exceptional, detailed, technical. It suggests they're getting into the finer points, not just basics.
More than just running drills.
Seems so. And there's this idea of growth beyond basketball. One parent explicitly said their child has grown both as a player and as a person. Others mentioned the training keeps things interesting and builds all-around skills.
Player and person growth. That's compelling feedback.
It is. And interestingly, one testimonial recommended the coach for boys and girls of all ages, even though the program focus is 5th, 9th grade.
Suggesting the approach might have broader application.
Perhaps the core principles translate well. There's also praise for patience, customizing things to skill levels, and the simple fact that kids look forward to each session.
You can't ask for much more than kids being excited to go to training. Did any specific quotes stand out?
There was one that really grabbed my attention. A parent felt their daughter got more coaching in 30 innings than my daughter had in the last 2 years with her team.
Whoa. That speaks volumes about the perceived intensity and quality of instruction. Really underlines that espresso versus gallon idea.
It really does. And maybe the most insightful one, connecting back to the depth of the program, was from a parent named Scott McClear.
What did he share?
He pointed out something fascinating. The techniques being taught aren't just simplified kids' drills. He said it's the same footwork, the same drills they use with high school, college, and potentially even pro players they've trained.
Seriously, the same fundamentals taught from 5th grade all the way up. That's pretty unique if true.
According to that testimonial, yes. He connects this early focus on foundational development and footwork and just understanding spacing directly to his own son's success, saying it's based on things most kids just don't learn until much later, if ever.
That McClure insight is powerful. It frames the program not just as fixing layups, but potentially as instilling elite-level fundamentals at a really young age, giving players a different developmental pathway.
It certainly presents it that way, as building a foundation that scales.
Okay, we've really covered a lot. The problem, the PRQ solution, the target audience, the cost justification, the guarantee, and these parent insights. If someone listening is intrigued, where is this program located and how can they get in touch based on the sources?
The sources give the location as Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The address is 141 Banfield Road, Unit 7.
Portsmouth, NH. And contact details.
Yep, they list an email, info@playpracticebasketball.com, a phone number, 603-461-5775, and also a text option, 603-932-5893, though they note standard rates might apply.
Email, phone, text, multiple options, and signing up for the actual Layup Maker program.
2 ways mentioned. You can sign up for the next group session, which the sources listed as Wednesdays, 6-7 p.m., starting June 4th. Or you can ask about setting up an individual course on a custom schedule.
Great. So that wraps up our deep dive into the Layup Maker, working entirely from the materials you provided.
Yeah, it's clear the program targets that specific, really frustrating issue of finishing at the rim for young players. It offers this very structured, detailed solution, the PERQ system aiming for that Jedi Master level control.
And the testimonials add another layer. highlighting not just skill improvement, but also that crucial love of the game aspect, personal growth, and this intriguing idea, especially from the McClure testimonial, that the foundational techniques taught are potentially universal, scaling from young players right up to elite levels.
Definitely. Which leads us to a final thought, building on that idea. For you, the listener, consider this. How might truly mastering foundational skills at a young age, using techniques potentially rigorous enough for elite players, fundamentally change a player's development trajectory and confidence, both on and off the court?